The Choir Beneath. A sci-fi horror short story. The winds of Aurelia 3 never stopped. They circled the planet in endless, shrieking gyres, storms that scraped the metallic dust plains and sent tremors through the crust. The mining colony at Station Kepri-9 sat crouched against the gale like a wounded animal, its structures reinforced with vibration-dampening pylons and its workers wrapped in heavy acoustic gear. Every miner wore dampeners, thick, helmet-mounted resonators that filtered the planet's constant infrasound into something survivable. Without them, the wind could drive a person mad. Or so the manuals said. Jalen Voss had never tested the claim. He'd been on Aurelia 3 for 6 months, long enough to know the wind was not just noise. It had a weight to it, a pressure that pressed against the bones. Even with the dampeners, he sometimes felt it humming in his teeth. But today, something was different. He noticed it first when he descended Shaft 12B, the newest excavation site. The lift rattled as it dropped, the metal cage vibrating with the familiar low-frequency rumble of the planet's storms. But beneath that, beneath the usual background hum, he heard something else. A tone. A long, rising harmonic, like a voice warming up before a song. He frowned and tapped the side of his helmet. The dampeners were supposed to suppress anything below 20 hertz, but the tone he heard was layered, complex, almost melodic. It wasn't wind. It wasn't machinery. It was singing. The lift clanged to a stop. Jalen stepped out into the half-lit tunnel where the rest of the shift crew was already working. The air was thick with dust and the smell of ionized metal. Drills roared. Sparks flew. And yet, under it all, the tone persisted. "Hey!" he said over the comm. "Anyone else hearing that?" Mira, the shift lead, turned toward him. Her visor reflected the tunnel lights like a pair of cold suns. Hearing what? That sound. Like a choir warming up. A few miners paused. Some shook their heads. Others frowned, listening. Then Rusk, a broad-shouldered veteran with a scar across his jaw, spoke quietly. "You hear it too." Jalen blinked. "So it's not just me." Rusk's voice was oddly reverent. "Started yesterday. Thought it was a glitch in my dampeners. But it's getting clearer." Mira cut in sharply. "If your gear's malfunctioning, report it. Don't romanticize it." Rusk didn't respond. He just tilted his head slightly, as if trying to catch more of the sound. Jalen felt a chill. The harmonic rose again. Longer this time, layered with subtle intervals that made the hair on his arms stand up. It was beautiful in a way that felt wrong. Like something ancient was trying to remember how to speak. Or sing. The first to remove the dampeners. By the end of the shift, half the crew admitted they'd heard it. Some described it as a hum, others as a chant. One miner, a young woman named Sarah, said it sounded like voices braided together. Mira filed a report with command, but the response was predictable. Monitor the situation, continue operations, no immediate threat detected. Aurelia 3 was too valuable to shut down over strange noises. That night, in the cramped barracks, Jalen couldn't sleep. The wind outside howled against the walls, and even through the reinforced structure he felt the vibrations. He turned up the dampeners built into the room's walls, but the pressure in his skull didn't ease. He kept thinking about the harmonic, about how it had seemed to respond when he approached the new excavation site, as if it knew he was there. The next morning, when he arrived at Shaft 12B, he found a cluster of miners gathered near the entrance. Their body language was tense, uncertain. Rusk stood in the center. His helmet was off. Jalen froze. "Rusk, what the hell are you doing?" Rusk smiled. It was a soft, dreamy expression that didn't fit his rugged face. "You don't need the dampeners down there. Not anymore." Mira pushed through the crowd. "Put your gear back on. Now." Rusk shook his head slowly. "You're blocking it out. The song. It's clearer without the interference." Jalen felt his stomach twist. "You're going to fry your brain. The infrasound. It's not dangerous," Rusk said. "It's communication." Mira swore and signaled 2 security techs. They moved toward Rusk, but he stepped back, raising his hands. "Don't," he warned. You don't understand. It's calling to us. The harmonic rose again, so loud Jalen felt it through the floor. Several miners gasped. One dropped to their knees. Rusk's eyes shone with tears. Do you hear it? He whispered. It's beautiful. The choir grows. Rusk was removed from the site and placed under medical observation, but the damage was done. Word spread quickly. Some miners were terrified. Others were curious. A few were tempted. By the third day, 3 more miners had removed their dampeners. By the 5th, 8. They gathered in the lower tunnels, sitting cross-legged on the cold stone, eyes closed, listening. They hummed along with the harmonic, their voices shaky at first, then stronger. Jalen watched them from a distance, unease coiling in his gut. Sarah approached him quietly. It's getting louder. I know. No, she said. I mean, it's getting closer. He turned to her. What do you mean? She hesitated. When I'm near the new shaft, I feel it under my feet, like something is moving, or shifting. Jalen swallowed hard. You think it's coming from below. I think it's alive. The entity in the crust. Command finally sent a geophysics team to investigate. They lowered seismic probes into the new shaft and ran a full-spectrum analysis. The results were impossible. The planet's crust was resonating. Not randomly, not due to wind or tectonics. The vibrations formed patterns, complex, repeating structures that resembled language. Or music. The geophysicists argued for hours, but one conclusion became unavoidable. Something beneath the crust was generating the harmonics. Something intelligent. The report was classified immediately, but rumors spread faster than containment protocols. The miners who had removed their dampeners claimed vindication. It's speaking to us, Rusk said during a medical interview. It's been trapped for so long, alone, singing to itself in the dark. But now we've opened a way for it to reach us. The doctor asked him what it wanted. Rusk smiled. Worship. The first incident. The first violent incident happened on day 9. A miner named Halden tried to force another worker to remove her dampeners. When she resisted, he attacked her with a drill bit, screaming that she was deaf to the divine. Security subdued him, but not before he shattered her visor and ruptured her eardrum. Halden was sedated and restrained. When questioned, he spoke in a low, rhythmic chant. The words were unintelligible, but the cadence matched the harmonic patterns from the seismic readings. He wasn't speaking a human language. He was singing. Descent. Mira ordered all operations in Shaft 12 be suspended, but several miners refused to leave. They barricaded themselves inside the lower tunnels, claiming they were preparing the sanctuary. Jalen volunteered to join the security team sent to retrieve them. He didn't know why. Maybe he wanted answers. Maybe he wanted to hear the harmonic without the dampeners, just once, to understand what was happening to his friends. The team descended into the shaft, weapons drawn, lights cutting through the dust. The harmonic was deafening. Even through the dampeners, Jalen felt it vibrating in his bones. The tunnel walls pulsed with the rhythm, dust falling in soft cascades. They found the barricade half collapsed, as if something had pushed it from the other side. Beyond it, the tunnel widened into a natural cavern, and the miners were waiting. Rusk stood at the front, bareheaded, eyes glowing with feverish devotion. Behind him, the others knelt in a semicircle, humming in perfect harmony with the planet's song. Welcome, Rusk said softly. You're just in time. For what? Mira demanded. The opening. The ground trembled. A crack split the cavern floor, glowing faintly as dust poured into the widening fissure. The harmonic surged, rising into a chorus so complex Jalen felt tears sting his eyes. It was beautiful, terrifying, alive. Rusk spread his arms. It's waking. The choir beneath. The fissure widened, and something rose from the depths. Not a creature, not a machine, a structure. A lattice of crystalline filaments, vibrating like the strings of an enormous instrument. The air shimmered around it, bending light. The harmonics pouring from it were layered, ancient, mournful. Jalen felt his thoughts slipping, his identity dissolving into the song. He staggered, clutching his helmet. Mira grabbed his arm. "Stay with me." But the song was inside him now, threading through his mind, whispering promises of unity, purpose, transcendence. "Join us," it sang. "Become more." Rusk stepped toward the crystalline structure. "We hear you," he whispered. "We are yours." The filaments pulsed. A wave of vibration slammed through the cavern. Several security officers collapsed, blood streaming from their noses. One screamed as his dampeners shattered. The cultists, because that's what they were now, began to sing. Their voices blended with the entity's harmonics, forming a choir that shook the cavern. Jalen felt himself slipping toward them, drawn by the beauty of the sound. Mira slapped him hard across the visor. "Jalen, focus." He gasped, the spell breaking for a moment. "We need to collapse the shaft," she said. "Now." "But the others? They're gone." Another pulse of vibration rippled through the cavern. The crystalline structure was growing, extending filaments toward the ceiling, toward the surface, toward freedom. Jalen made his choice. The collapse. He and Mira retreated toward the tunnel entrance, planting charges along the support beams. The cultists didn't try to stop them. They were too absorbed in their song, swaying in unison as the entity's filaments wrapped around them. Some were lifted into the air, their bodies vibrating until their bones glowed faintly beneath their skin. They were becoming part of the choir. Jalen triggered the detonator. The explosion tore through the cavern, collapsing the ceiling. The crystalline structure shrieked, a sound so powerful Jalen felt his vision blur. Then everything went dark. Epilogue: The New Choir. 3 weeks after the evacuation, the automated monitoring stations on Aurelia 3 detected a new seismic pattern. The crust was resonating again, stronger this time, more organized, like a choir practicing for a performance. And in the abandoned tunnels of Kepri 9, beneath the rubble of Shaft 12B, something stirred. The filaments pulsed, the harmonics rose, and the choir beneath began to sing, waiting for new worshippers, waiting for the next opening, waiting to be heard again.